Welcome back. Welcome to our second segment, and this is Trade of the Week, and this is for the week of May 31st, 2025. As always, I like to go over one of our favorite day trading strategies, and now with this 0 day to expiration, there's a great if you can even play options with this strategy. So we'll see. This gap was filled on Friday. The gap on Thursday was filled. Even when we look at basically almost like a gap, it wasn't anything on Wednesday. And what happened now, we have this open gap from Tuesday. And then remember, the markets, um, what happened, we had the Monday off, and we did have on Friday, we had this gap. And this gap was filled with Tuesday gap. So that also is it has completed. The gap is completed. So although we came very close to 3/4 for Friday's gap. So again, that's one of my favorites. I mentioned about in the beginning as far as the 3 weeks of nothingness. This is a 60-minute chart of the S&P 500 futures. And I go back to May 13th, and I want to look at where we were, the low and the high. And this is where we were on Friday, May 30th. Look at this. I mean, you could have gone on hibernation and come back. We did have intraday volatilities, which makes it fun for trading, but at the end, market has that indecision, so they haven't done anything really. As far as the ETF last week, the big winners were the nuclear energy. So I thought, let's go back and see. I did mention about quadruple resistance, and let's see what happened. And as you can see, we tried um, to break through it, and here we are. So the resistance continues. So that's why you pay attention to, again, the technical analysis. The same thing, as you can see, we have the NLR ETF and we have the URA ETF. So we see how we respected that. So the idea is, can we break through this resistance and this resistance, and then will we have on a high volume, and then we can continue with the trend. Got few stocks of the week. One of them is based on seasonality, but as always, I like to start with some important ones, which was the Nvidia. Nvidia came with their earnings, which they beat. It was actually better than what the markets were anticipating, and that's why we had a gap up. Now, granted, on a daily basis, this looks very nice. The DMI is still positive. We are way above the cloud. The lagging line is above the cloud. We were above the turning line. Now we just broke below that. What concerns me is we just filled that earnings gap. The question is any damage done in a sense of, because we filled that gap, the direction would be down. On a weekly basis, the good news is we are about, the DMI positive is about to cross the DMI negative, and we are above the cloud. But this is um, um, a doji that uh, could become troublesome. So, well, let's see. We're still in the good hands, and the same thing on a monthly, we're still good. But when I look at the 30 minutes, 10 minutes, we'll see there's a little trouble brewing in the short run. So let's see if the things can turn around, although we're still above the really thin cloud. What we wanted to see is we want to close above the turning and standard line, and also we want the DMI go positive on 60 minutes. As far as expected move, also you can see the expected move told us that it did go outside the expected move based on earnings, and then we reversed on Friday. Also, I want to look at basically, you can see the momentum on a weekly basis has been positive for NVIDIA after we went outside the second standard, negative second standard deviation. Nice move. We closed above the 20-week, but then we have this doji. We touched that two standard deviation. The good news is still we're above that 20-week moving average, but we are right on that one standard deviation. So it's important to hold. Apple, I had mentioned last week, the 200 area is a very crucial area. We are in a neutral zone. We are inside the cloud, but we are below the standard and turning line. And the DMI negative is above the positive. Also in 60 minutes, we are just going to, again, neutral, entering the cloud. Good news is we are above the 30, I mean, we are above the turning and standard line, and the DMI positive has crossed negative. But we see again neutrality in 30 minutes. 10 minutes has given us positive reaction, and we are above the cloud. On a monthly basis, above the cloud, but right on that turning, I mean, on the standard line. But on the other hand, weekly still negative, heavy, heavy resistance to cloud. As far as expected move, it was interesting that we did go outside the expected move on the upper side and then came back and touched right that upper edge of expected move. Tesla also, it's kind of interesting, like Nvidia, we just broke below um, the turning line. It's actually just hugging, but we are above the cloud. Lagging line is above the cloud. DMI positive is above the DMI negative. The ADX is strong. Um, on a weekly, we are right on that standard line. And again, another doji. So it almost looks like um, again the rejection. So we are above the cloud. So and the DMI is positive. We like to close back above this. Monthly, after hitting the lower edge of the cloud, we bounce back nicely. 60 minutes, we are above. 30 minutes, we just broke below, and 10 minutes, we have broken below. Interesting again, we see all these markets. The Tesla was hugging that upper edge of expected move and finally got rejected. So here's a suggestion just based on seasonality. This goes back 20 years, and for the past 20 years, we see the Thermo Fisher Scientific has been up from June 4th, which is coming up, till July 25th. We see how big moves into 2020 and 2021, as well as 2009. And so it is something that you should do your own research. This is the chart. You see how far we've come down. This is a Hakinashi. But you notice that during that time period, things have moved. So maybe this would be the turnaround, and we could have a nice movement back right on this support area, right around here. One of our stocks of our tax selling stocks has been Celsius, the beverage company. And we see on the daily, we did hit the cloud and bounce back, which is nice. And that tells us there's a strength. On the weekly, though, this is a thick weekly cloud. So we like to slide inside. And then monthly, we did have a support inside the cloud and we broke above the turning line. Now we like to see that 10-minute turnaround, 30 minutes positive, and 60 minutes is positive. Also, we've been talking about Domo, one of my April 8 suggestions, and they had earnings, but also we took into consideration and bought that stock is based on the insider buying, and we see that was a big move. So we see the 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, weekly, daily, they're all positive. We are extended. So what we like to do, it would be nice to have a little digestions, consolidation, and then move to the next stage. We see the monthly is against its standard line, but the good news is here we have the DMI positive crossing the negative. Let's see the candidates for our squeeze candidates, and this is for S&P 500. Especially we have 4 stars on the technical side. We have the Walmart and Fortinet and Take-Two and News Corp. So um, maybe you can do a little analysis on that. Last week we had some good earnings. About 100 came as far as the price movements. 54 were positive, 46 were negative. 37 reported positive, 38 reported negative. Forward guidance again is wait and see, 12 positive, 10 negative. Of course, everybody was waiting for NVIDIA. It beat the expectations and it was came at 81 cents per share with a revenue of $44 billion for the first quarter. So, and then uh, the revenue was the 42.71 expected. So, but we could see the earning whisper number was 0.77. So anyway, we had a nice move, but then we had the retracement. So we want to watch that gap filled gap. We had um, uh, the Marvel again semiconductor with the missed. Costco beat. We saw Salesforce missed. And then this week, we still got some interesting ones coming up. Um, I mean, you can look at the news of the world, and I will go actually over them. But also, if you want to use like the DocuSign as a volatility or Momo, so Bark, Woof, these are interesting stocks if you want to use, let's say, um, horizontal or calendar. That would be interesting. The big news this week is that Broadcom is coming and they're expected to beat. Dollar General, which is one of our holdings, is reporting on Tuesday. Please watch that. And IO is like actually expected to miss the NEO. Campbell Soup expected to beat. DocuSign is expected to beat. Um, CrowdStrike is expected to beat. Credit Technology is expected to beat. Signet Jewelry is expected to beat. And we have Dollar Tree is expected to meet. All right. I hope that was helpful. What we have one more segment. We have end of the month. So I like to review our performance of the month. So thank you so much.